You're watching Iowa Live on CW Iowa 23.
Welcome back, everybody. We're carrying on with its Global Entrepreneurship Week. So we are talking to different businesses, entrepreneurs, all kinds of organizations. And joining us here now this morning is Mr. Michael Libbie. You would hear him with us, the founder and host of Insight on Business, the News Hour, talking all things business news in your podcast.
So we do every single day, Monday through Friday.
And recognize it.
You're an entrepreneur that talks to entrepreneurs.
Exactly. And we're also picked up on Sunday. You might know my friend Jeff Stein over at KXEL Radio.
Yeah, we kind of know about him.
Yeah, I know you do. And so we're on News Talk 1540 KXEL on Sundays, and it's called Insight on Business, the News Hour Week in Review. And so we take the best news stories that we've done all week, and then some really interesting interviews that have a global interest. And that's what we do.
So, Insight on Business.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Are we talking business? I know you, being a good man, we're kind of looking at what stocks were doing already bright and early this morning, and keeping your finger on the pulse of what's happening in the world, as we all try to. Is that what you're talking about? Are you talking about the local entrepreneurs and getting on their feet? What's it all about?
All of the above.
Yeah.
So Insight on Business, the News Hour, we've been doing this for 8-9 years. I don't know. It's been a long time. So it's an everyday thing. And we used to be on terrestrial radio, on radio stations.
Yeah.
Until we learned that our that our podcasts had a larger audience than the terrestrial radio stations.
Right.
So why was I paying $1,700 a month to the radio station for the privilege of going in there and talking about the news? So what we ended up doing is taking everything to podcast form, and now what we have is the ability to reach out internationally with the news. Okay. So our focus has shifted a bit from just really localized things to national, international, and regional business news. So there's about 10-15 minutes of business news plus interesting business interviews. This week, I'll interview a fellow by the name of George Isaacson from Maine, who argued before the Supreme Court not once but twice, and we're talking about right to repair issues, which you guys are going, huh? Yeah. What do you mean?
Yeah,
right to repair?
yeah.
So what that is you buy something, you own something, but do you have the right to repair it? And the answer is oftentimes no. So,
Me as an owner?
Really?
You as an owner, right. So if you have a tractor or a combine or a refrigerator or whatever it happens to be, you don't have the right to repair it because why? The manufacturer holds the keys to the repair. So it's an interesting side story. But, so that's what we do.
I mean, my pillow says don't cut off this tag. And bad things could happen. But who knew? But those are the type of things. You kind of created a platform where anything goes.
Yeah. And, this all started just because nobody does it.
Yeah.
We started here in the Des Moines Metro wanting to talk about the opportunity for people to learn about the business news. And, I reached out to a couple of publications that are business-centric. They didn't want to partner with us, so we just did it ourselves from our advertising agency, Inside Advertising, Marketing, and Communications. And so this is now what we do.
And because you have talked to quite a few local businesses that are getting on their feet or well-established, do you find that that's the key? Someone has an idea, maybe they reach out and say, can you partner up with me? Do you like the idea? They get denied, and finally it's like, you know what? We're going to find our own way. We're getting it done.
Yeah, what's really interesting about this is funding is the greatest source of trouble for any startup.
Yep.
And because we're not Silicon Valley, sometimes we have to reach out to other areas. Now, there are some angel investors here in the greater Des Moines Metro, and there's some really exciting things going on in rural Iowa. I don't know if you guys have heard about what happened in Jefferson, Iowa with this beautiful arrangement between Iowa Central Community College, DMAC, and I'm missing it. It's the linchpin. But what they have is an incubator there in Jefferson where individuals can learn about digital marketing and then work for Silicon Valley companies.
Really?
Yeah. And they live in Jefferson, which, by the way, Jefferson, very well done on you guys, is 100% fiber optic high-speed internet. done by a private telecom. So, and so what
Something you would never expect in Jefferson,
this is Jefferson, Iowa, less than 5,000 people.
Right.
And so these are the kinds of stories that we dig up, you know, that
so you're
are
really trying to find
fascinating.
something that's a little different that they're not hearing in other places.
Right. And we've interviewed people, Michelle, that are startups all the way to established corporations, large corporations. And so what makes business tick? Why do people want to be in business? What are the good things and what are the bad things about it? You know, Michelle, what it's like. I mean, we were just talking off camera about vacations.
All sides of it.
Who the heck has a vacation, right?
Yeah.
And so,
what is that?
Exactly.
Yeah, Lou has a vacation.
Exactly. It's his first in
the girls are
22
still
years,
working.
but other than that.
Have you seen a trend since doing this in the last 8-9 years? Have you seen a trend change here locally? I know you've now gone international with your conversations and your interviews, but you have been very blessed, or blessed many businesses by having that conversation on air locally. Have you noticed anything different in the last 18 months?
You know, not really. It's still tough for business. If you're a private individual business owner, it's still difficult. You have to work it every single day.
Yeah.
And I think that's just true all the way around. You know, we really, how you connect with consumers. Now that's the big change. You know, how do we connect with consumers? And so many businesses, and I know, you know, I have an advertising and marketing agency. So most business people know zip about advertising and marketing. They think, oh, hey, if we're on Facebook, that's 100%.
That's enough.
That's not it, because Facebook obviously changes their algorithms all the time. So you have to find ways in which to engage the general public. And how do you do that? Well, digital is one way, but then you've got to do it right. So this is, you know, inside on Business the News Hour, we not only do the business news, but we also do something else that's kind of fun. I got to tell you about this. It's called Out to Lunch. And I was in Washington, D.C. several years ago, and I was walking down the street and I saw some folks taking some equipment into a restaurant. So I went in the restaurant, and sitting at the table is Major Garrett, CBS Washington correspondent. And I said, hey, Major, what are you doing? He goes, oh, wow, this is a takeout. And, you know, what we do is we sit at a table, we order lunch, and we talk about politics with political leaders, and then we record the whole thing for a podcast. I go, oh, I got to steal this. So,
No such thing as an original idea out there anymore,
But
right?
great idea, more of a relaxed scenario.
yeah, so we go to a locally owned restaurant. We were at Table 128, and we were at Embers downtown, and we were at the Range over all kinds of locally owned restaurants. And then we invite thought leaders once a week to come in and talk about business, and we record the whole thing. And it's really a great trip, you know, Vino 128 or Vino 209 in historic Valley Junction. And so that's kind of an extra added thing that we do. And April Samp, as a matter of fact, was on Out to Lunch.
Our news director,
Yeah.
here with We Are
Sister
Iowa.
station.
So you said you're feeling in need of something that's not.
Yeah,
there. Is it the stories of how it got started, of how they're succeeding? What's this story that we need to be tuning in and hearing?
Here's what I think it is. Business isn't sexy unless you're in business. You know? and politics is sexy, and sexy is sexy. But I think what we like to do is we like to dig beneath the top line of the story. What makes business tick? What makes your business tick? What's the who, what, where, and why of why you are doing whatever you're doing?
Yeah.
And then we share that with the world. And it's a lot of fun. And I'm the one that really benefits because I learn so doggone much just from interviewing all of these people. We've done over 3,200 interviews.
Wow.
I know.
So if people want to tune in and listen for themselves and find out more, maybe I'm sure you're always looking for stories and content
Always
to maybe
looking for
contribute
stuff.
that way or be part of your Out to Lunch.
Sure. Insight on Business, the News Hour. If you Google that, you'll find us. We are all over social media. I posted several social media pieces about you guys early this morning. And so you can find us on Twitter at NewsHour. Yeah, we're all over.
I love it. We could be learning something by hearing from these other incredible business leaders in our community now beyond.
April should hire me to come in and teach you.
So much to learn.
I would always love to learn
keep
from you,
sharing
sir.
with us as well.
Yeah, you're a great man in our community.
Thank you very
appreciate
much.
everything
I
you
appreciate
do.
it.
All right, you see the website there. Go check it out. Amazing things are happening in our business world, and you can learn more about those stories behind the scenes right there. You're